What is up, everyone? I'm the Comic Outlaw, and check us out on YouTube, man. I'm Jack Slater, the man with the plan, the game plan, that is, and we're covering the last issue of the Savage She-Hulk. Yes, it is the end of the Savage She-Hulk run. And man, it's been a weird, wild, sort of soap opera kind of trip. But meanwhile, the She-Hulk has been squaring off against this creature called Earth-Lord. Also these bunch of mutants and these other experiments that he's been creating and making. Actually, the whole culmination of this issue has been creatures that have been sent after her over the last 25 issues. These different creatures that are from the Earth that have been developed. And, that's just basically doing a recap of everything that's going on. The creatures that she's fought, her run-ins with the mob and how everything's connected, how all these creatures and villains are seemingly connected and made by the same person. Created by the same man. And now She-Hulk stands ready. And basically she's been battling, and battling, finding out the weaknesses for these different characters. And like I said, this is just a recap of exactly what happened over time, just in case this is your first issue, and which would sadly be your last issue if you actually picked this up back in the day. But it goes on to talk about the mob, Earth-Lord, the kid that she removed the helmet on and is causing extreme psychic pain, and basically everything else, which brings us to the present, where she's taking on one of the science experiments. One of the people, actually the victims from the UCLA debacle, and she smashes into him, and she's just dealing with all these different creatures. They have different powers, different abilities. It seems like they were trying to genetically create soldiers, weapons, take your pick, There's a lot of different stereotypes and reasons why bad guys do things. So, power, money, creating soldiers, blah, blah, blah. She-Hulk's coming in, and she's just battling everything, smashing her way through stuff. And all these different creatures are just coming out of the woodwork now. And she's just basically fighting everyone. And this big rubble, and she runs into one of the villains, and he just kind of seems like he's not interested in fighting her anymore. Matter of fact, he begins to walk off. And it seems that she has an ally at the moment, but you never know with these creatures and with these types of people. And of course, the Mafia does get involved. They decide to throw a little grenade, and it does nothing but piss She-Hulk off. Meanwhile, one of the mobsters wake up the Hitman, and there's a creature kind of examining his gun. He gets rid of him, and he has a scientist to kill. Meanwhile, Zapper and the guy on the couch, Worry, explain everything what happened with Jennifer. The blood transfer from her cousin, Bruce Banner, her becoming the She-Hulk, all the problems that she had with her father, the point where they told her and he hit Rory in the face, one of my favorite parts. And then we're just going over a recap of how Zapper and her were friends, how he got attacked, how they ended up having a love affair, and how much he misses her. They've been childhood friends. He's been in love with her a long, long time. And this is the guy on the couch's story. He met her while she had a running with Man-Thing. Him and Jennifer sort of had a romance, but when she became She-Hulk, she had no interest in the guy on the couch. Meanwhile, the father's starting to put everything together, figuring out that his daughter's She-Hulk, and coming to grips with that. Then all of a sudden, crash! Yes, someone is there to take them over, to attack them, and take them hostage. And now, this guy in the helmet basically has control of everyone. Earth-Lord, I guess you could call him, or Helmet Man. And he's just basically taking his stooges to church, while She-Hulk is bashing the hell out of these mob guys. There's really nothing they can do. They got bullets. They might as well be firing candy corn at her. But meanwhile, this scientist thinks that he's going to get himself a little genetic sample. Doesn't work out too good for him, and it ends up being an android. Yes, another experiment. Another weird creature that have come out of the woodwork. And She-Hulk's just kind of mystified how many things she's actually going to have to knock out, kill, or just beat up. So she goes after the guy with the helmet, and he has a few surprises of his own. He starts attacking her with a kind of an energy machine, and he gets into his chair, and of course, it turns into a robot. Like everything else in this series, there's been a lot of robots, there's been a lot of surprises, and a lot of these mob guys have these fantastic inventions, or these scientists. It's just amazing. Meanwhile, this is Jen's father's girlfriend. the hussy herself. And this is basically just going over her story, how she wines and dines them, loves them and leaves them, takes everything they have. And, she was planning to steal from Jennifer's father, too, and take him for everything. And now she's just feeling used and abused. She's the victim in this situation, even though she's the thief. While the She-Hulk is having trouble fighting this guy in his metal suit. Kind of looks like a chicken walker from Star Wars. And she's just running down the lane, trying to figure out a strategy and how to beat it. Since she gave it one of the best shots and it barely dented the thing. So she decides to take to the air and maneuver a little bit. But of course, the machine brings her back to the ground with an electric blast. Now, this guy has a lot of different inventions, and he's kind of put them all into this chair. Now the cops showed up, and of course it's Jen's father, Zapper, and the most useless guy in this series, Rory. And of course, this guy's prepared for him too. The energy blast kind of encompasses all of them. They fire a few bullets. Of course, it doesn't do anything. This mobster right here is trying to get a little revenge too. And it's really not working out for them because all he has is guns. And he's completely outclassed. And I think he knows this at this point because he's trying to get away. Meanwhile, we're just kind of going over everything that's happened so far. All the creatures, all the pain, everything. And it's kind of building up in She-Hulk, as this guy's blasting her and blasting her. And her friends are kind of at the mercy of these freaks. So She-Hulk has to find some strength in her. But then, the mutants turn against their master. Tired of being abused. Tired of being used and sent to the underground. While She-Hulk's still being zapped. And these mutants are bashing as hard as they could. But he's just laying down the pain on her. Until her father gives her some words of encouragement as the hitman mobster points his gun. And now he takes his shot and he aims and fires. And it's just enough. It's just enough stress to turn She-Hulk back into Jennifer. And there Jennifer stands. And she recaps everything again about Zapper, Rory, all of it, the betrayal from Zapper, her problems with Rory, and it just kind of all comes to a head. As she kind of has a little talk with the guy on couch, and it looks like she's about to give him a smooch, but I don't think so. There's other things happening. And they're trying to get rid of this thing, so everyone's kind of joining together at this point. Jen stops her father from taking a shot at it because She-Hulk is back. And now Jennifer and She-Hulk are fully one. And she is mad. Not She-Hulk, not Jennifer, She-Hulk. One entity. And she begins to smash the hell out of this machine, crushing it, using its own weapons against it. She-Hulk with a new resolve, a new strength, something inside of her that she hasn't had. Confidence, ability, and most of all, her family behind her. As she crushes this machine, brings the pain down upon it. And she pulls the scientist out, getting ready to rip out his spine. But the father stops her. And she subsides and leaves him for the police. For she's not a killer. She's an attorney. She believes in justice. And that man will have his day in court. As everyone begins to be rounded up, all the creatures kind of disappear. All the villains are being arrested. Everyone's being charged. And this is where the father kind of has a talk with her. And, of course, Zapper and her are back together. All right, Zapper, yeah. At least it wasn't the guy on the couch. In my heart of hearts, I was rooting for Zapper. Anyways, this is how issue 25 ends, y'all. She has her father, her boyfriend, and she's looking on to the future. But what will it hold? I guess we're going to have to find out in the pages of Sensational She-Hulk. But when will the outlaw drop that one? We'll find out, won't we? And I'll catch you on the flip side. Yeah.